Hello, and welcome back to the Dwarven Tavern. This is a continuation of lore from Pathfinder 2E Core Rules. Why the long pipe, you say? Well, today we're talking about the Age of Lost Omens, as it were. And any time you talk of past ages and various bits of lore, you must smoke a pipe. I don't know why. That's just how it is, you know. So, anyway, in this particular book, this is from the, again, I say it's the Pathfinder 2E. Well, and this is chapter 8. The book goes for $59.99, unless you can find it cheaper. And it is chapter 8, The Age of Lost Omens. Now, this book I have noticed quite readily. I mean, it's very obvious they're making it into one big encapsulated collection of, various things. So they've included this really nice, and I've read through it. This really nice kind of a setup, kind of a preamble, a prelude to the world of Golarion, and so in giving you a background and a very nice map here on page 416, it is it's a super nice map, and it talks about and it shows the Saga Lands, the Eye of Dread, the Broken Lands, the Shining Kingdoms, Old Cheliax, High Seas, the Golden Road, Absalom, the Mwangi Expanse, and the Impossible Lands, and thereabouts. Which is, it's a super nice map. I love good cartography, so a big thumbs up for that. And then the lore surrounding this time is it's rather cool. 10,000 years ago, the world of Golarion came close to ending. Earthfall, as this extinction level event came to be known, saw the world pummeled by a shower of falling stars that sank continents, hollowed out new seas, and destroyed civilizations. It took centuries for the world to recover. I was just a boy. And centuries more for society to rebuild. But recover it did. And that is the setup for this world. Now, this chapter, I'm not going to go into the actual history other than to say that it's extremely cool. And it here on page 418, it shows the various continents: Arcadia, Aslant, Avistan, Kazmaron, Garund, Tianxia, and I that can be recognized as the Asian part, and Sarusan. And then it shows the continents on a spherical world in the 4 different hemispheres of said world, and it's pretty cool. So it'll give you a really good idea of what this place looks like. So I'm pretty happy with that. Then it talks about the great beyond, the countless planets lie beyond Golarion's solar system. But even these myriad worlds of the universe known as the material plane are but a fragment compared to what lies in the multiverse beyond. Well, the material plane traditionally, and I say traditionally because that's first edition or up to D&D, basically. That the prime material plane contains this universe and all the parallel universes. So it is as if the universe is a bubble in an endless bubble bath of possibilities. And that's how it can be explained in quantum science as well. It describes the inner sphere, the outer sphere, which the inner sphere is the material plane, the elemental planes, and all of their crossovers and such. The outer sphere, which is they say it's difficult to grasp, as you can imagine. I mean, it's almost impossible to grasp the size of our solar system, let alone our galaxy and the 300 plus billion stars therein, and the 300 plus billion galaxies that surround our local cluster. I mean, come on. Yeah, let's just imagine that. And then that's just a tiny little part of one universe in an endless cosmos of universes that make up the prime material plane. That's, you might consider that hefty. So it's got the outer sphere and then the outer planes. And I mentioned the outer sphere. Here the gods dwell, and the souls of the dead gather to be judged by the goddess of the dead, Pharasma, atop a spire in the realm that is her boneyard. Anything possible in the outer sphere and its realms are as much manifestations of philosophies and beliefs as anything else. From towering mountain of heaven to the endless gulfs of the demon-held abyss, be it agonizing pit of hell or the boundless wonders of Elysium, all of reality is represented within the outer sphere. Over time, this reality erodes away and is recycled back into the raw material of life within the positive energy plane. So, this is just an overview of this game's philosophy of existence and all of the planes. And then the outer planes consist of the Fey-haunted shadow first world and the sinister shadow plane, which each overlay the material plane. Stranger reaches of the great beyond exist. Some the dreamlands, the dimension of time. And it says, in all cases, these dimensions cannot be accessed by normal means. Really? There's not a door, you can... a tunnel. And each has their own method of entry and exit. So, then on the world, you've got the inner sea region, and that thereabout. And then it explains the time, the time continuum, like Earth. Golarion spins on its axis once, roughly every 24 hours. A week has 7 days. A year has 52 weeks. to keep the calendar synchronized with the astronomical year. An extra leap day is tacked onto the second month of the year every 4 years. So this is essentially an identical to Earth. And I have seen games and people who have attempted their own calendar, and it rarely ever works out because it's such a familiar thing into which we are indoctrinated as children that we come to know 12 months and the so forth, because it's just so familiar to us for the majority of us. I'm sure, there's others. And that's okay. I mean, that's fine. If you want to make your own thing, your own system, like, 13 months, 28 days or whatever, that's fine. There is there are other calendars here on Earth that, that have that, like the two extra astrological signs, Cetus the whale and Ophiuchus the serpent slayer. Cetus the whale, and they have in the inner sea. They have different names for the months. January is Abadius, February is Calistral, March is Pharast, April is Gozran, and so forth. So that means that dwarf earlier in the book's his name is April. So that's cute. And then the different names of the days. Monday is Moon Day, which it originally was. Tuesday is Toil Day. Wednesday is Wheel Day, which used to be Odin's Day because Wednesday is Odin's Day. Thursday is Oath Day. Fire Day is Friday. Star Day is Saturday. And Sunday is Sunday. So you can use that or not. I imagine it depends on how much you want to embrace it. It's a pretty immersive system. And I suppose that it would be easy to get into. I'm not going to say it's good or bad because it's a preference thing, and that's very subjective. So, then in this chapter we have Absalom and the Starstone Isle, the Broken Lands, the Eye of Dread, which looks like it's full of dead people who want to eat your face. And other parts as well. The Golden Road, which is looks like very Egyptian or Silk Road-esque. Of course, the High Seas adventure is just everywhere there, I would imagine. The Impossible Lands, which here on this page, it doesn't make sense. The magic allows for astounding feats. Even those who consider themselves expert in the magical arts pause to wonder before the spectacles to be found in the impossible lands. What is taken for granted in these strange and eclectic nations would be all but impossible elsewhere. Take Geb, as an example. Here the living are the minority, and undeath is the predominant way of life. Cruelty, sadism, violence are the norm in Geb, or Jeb. I would think Geb. I pronounce it Geb. As one might expect of a land ruled by a violent undead dictator. That would be okay. I'm not clever today. This ghost, for whom the country was named, has ruled his nation for thousands of years, although for the past several centuries the day-to-day rule of the land fell to his queen, Arazni. Her recent disappearance, many would instead say escape, and abandonment of her duties have invigorated the ghost sovereign to once again take active leadership of his benighted realm. So, the Mwangi Expanse, which has a very African flavor. the old Chiliacs, and this is like Rome, sort of. The Church of Asmodeus became Chiliacs' official state religion. So I'm not going to make any Catholic jokes at all. But it does have that feel. The architecture there is very Romanesque with the pre-14th century Gothic. It looks like all the spires are very straight. There's no filigree. There's no triforium galleries in the top of the churches. Oh, wait, no, there's one. So Romanesque was pre-St. Francis of Assisi. You can look it up. And it's all of the Romanesque features of the Romanesque architecture was very straight and to the point, literally. And they had only begun to experiment with vaulted ceilings. Well, I think quadpartite vaulted ceilings, and a little bit beyond that was the most that they had achieved in Romanesque. And then the splayed openings were kind of a new thing because the walls were so thick. A door was a tunnel. So they made it a splayed opening where it came out in steps so you could see the door from farther out. And so, yeah, history of art and architecture is one of my things. So, so when they got into Gothic post 14th century, then they began to, and I think I got it right. I've been wrong before, but after St. Francis of Assisi and changing, like in the movie, I forget the name of the movie, but it wasn't Heretic, it was something else. Yeah, it escapes me, but it was like Buddy Jesus that they had. And St. Francis of Assisi did kind of that. He changed he wanted to change the image of Christ from the stern judge of mankind, the hard, I will judge you, to the Lamb of God that he is portrayed as now. So, that's neither here nor there. But then we got the Saga lands, which looks very Egyptian. The Shining Kingdoms, which is a European thing. And so, yeah, there's that. And there's, for each one of these, there's one page, half page, 3 or 4 paragraphs that describe it. And I believe that gives you a good enough idea because it does, actually. It gives a good enough idea to get started, to get the feel, to get the flavor of the area, and it also allows a more expansive potential for more books to come out, which is always cool because we like books, right? Then most coolly, it talks about the various cultures and human ethnicities of the various places in Golarion, and I think it did a very good job because it's got the Gurundi are like Indian, the Kelishites are like Arabian or Arabic, the Kelids are like it looks Scottish to me. The Mwangi are African. The Nidalese, I don't know, they look kind of a European, maybe Swedish, Norwegian. The Shoanti, I would say possibly Egyptian. The Taldan are they look Germanic. The Tian are Asians. The Ulfin are Norse. Varisians look Gypsy or Italian. And the Vudrani are, I don't know, Southern European perhaps. And these are all the human, obviously, the human versions. It doesn't say specifically what their earthling counterparts are. For example, the Kellids, which look very Scottish, very Highland. In the mountains and the steppes of northern Avistan, Kellids live hard lives to survive the threats of the wild. Wary of magic and are relying on skill that might when hunting and fighting. They are typically brawny, with dark-haired people, tanned and bearing eyes that are often black, blue, or grey. Kellids have access to the Hallet language. Hallet. Just for the Hallet. So, yeah. And that's Kellids. So, that's all that you could also say, the Highlands of Scotland, as it were, would be good there. And so you can kind of guess what they are. If that's important, it may not be, which is fine. But if it is, it's there. So, and it might help. I would think that it would help with immersion. If you wanted to immerse yourself, like in the Needlese, they kind of look like they might be Irish. I don't know. But I don't think the Irish are really very obviously represented here. But I think the Kellids would be good for that. If like I'm Irish, so I would probably play someone who was Kellid just for the fun of it, so I could be more myself and go that route. Then it describes, it goes on to describe dwarves and elves. And the backgrounds of them, such as it says that the elves are not native to this world, except the ones that exist today are. It's not their original home world, so they're very much into the not isolated universe, where there are other worlds and other life on other worlds. I mean, just mathematically speaking, in the real world, in the real universe, I mean, there has to be. It's mathematically not very likely that there's not life elsewhere. And then it goes on to talk about halflings and half elves and half ogres and half milk and so forth. It does mention goblins, but you know how I feel about goblins. Then it talks about the languages and so forth. It's simple, but it's depth, and that was the thing. From every one of these chapter reviews that I've done, I have referred back to that original statement that Arcane Mark, one of the writers, said when we were interviewing him at Gen Con, that it's simple but deep. It allows you to do your characters deep. So why not do the whole game that way, the whole book that way, which is true. Then it talks about creatures. And it says the 6 humanoid ancestries are far from Golarions, only inhabitants. Many other creatures dwell in the world. Be kind of boring, were they not? Some kindly and others cruel, some wild and others organized, some anthropomorphic and others completely monstrous. Even creatures that are usually foes of civilization and whom brave adventurers face in battle can sometimes be reasoned with or even befriended. Not all of them are evil, and some are actively helpful to their neighbors, and some, of course, simply want to be left alone, much like the real world, such as the Golthus, the demons, the devils, the dragons, the genies and giants, gnolls, goblinoids, kobolds, leshies, lizard folk, orc, and so forth. And it goes in that, which is, I think it's, is it necessary? I would, yeah. I mean, it's good. It's good that it's in there. I don't think it's anything too much. One thing that I thought was incredibly cool was their inclusion of the factions of in the world, like the Aspis Consortium, sprawling mercantile concern known as the Aspis Consortium is structured to ensure the survival of the faction is more important than any single member. Originally founded as a private trading endeavor, the consortium has grown to be one of the largest business ventures in the Inner Sea region. So the Aspis Consortium can be likened unto the East India Trade Company, I suppose. The Hanseatic League in the 15th century. Then you've got the Bellflower Network, the Esoteric Order of the Palatine Eye, Eagle Knights, Firebrands, Free Captains, etc., etc. Hell Knights, yeah, we're edgy. I'd have to kill them all. The Red Mantis. Apparently I get all choked up about Red Manti. The Pathfinder Society is in there. It's one of the factions, which to me that's exceptionally cool. And so forth. So each one has its own little blurb, and I believe that it will be the source of many a future adventure. So just that little 2 pages is worth a treasure trove of book sales. And rightfully so. Some things you just want them to shut up and take your money. Then it has a list of their deities, which is all about the religion. Abadar, lawful neutral, master of the first vault, holds sway over cities, the laws, merchants, and wealth. Callistra, chaotic neutral. Caden Kalayan, the drunken hero, ascended from mortal life on a drunken dare. You want me to become a god? Hold my beer. Becoming the god of ale. No, don't hold my beer. I'll take it with me. Freedom and wine. Caden promotes freedom and encourages others to find their own path in life. Okay, that's very cool. Iamade, Nethys, Ravagug. Sure. One of the things that I thought was cool is here on page 440, when it talks about faiths and philosophies. One of the coolest possibilities is atheism. It lists that as an actual philosophy. Of course, it's not a faith, because atheism is, you don't have faith in a god. Although I don't know if that's really true, and I don't want to wax philosophical myself, but if someone rejects religion of a sort, like earthly religion, you could consider yourself an atheist, even though you still believe that there is a higher power. And it talks about the edicts thereof. pursue your own, the edicts of atheism is to pursue your own agenda with faith in your own ability to excel. The anathema is to offer prayers to a deity, and it has followers of all alignments. That's really cool. I like that because there's a lot of atheists out there that are super cool people, and there are a lot of atheists out there that are utter assholes, just like Christians, and not like assholes like Christians, but there are good and bad everywhere, and that's why I don't judge or discriminate against anybody, because my dichotomy is you're either a jerk or you're not. So everything else is moot. Nothing else matters. I mean, you can be an utterly cool whatever, or you can be an absolute dickhead whatever. It doesn't matter. Those things do not shape you as the person you are. You do. Your choices, your behavior. So chew on that. Then it has the green faith, which is mostly druids, but they view nature as divine and draw strength from the knowledge of their place in a natural order. So their edict is to guide civilization to grow in harmony with nature, preserve areas of natural wilderness, protect endangered species. So, there are a lot of modern day faiths that have this belief, standing in line with nature and so forth. The prophecies of Calistrade, or Calistrad. The dream records of an eccentric mystic teach that wealth can be achieved through a strict and abstemious code of behavior. Abstemious, what a word. Their edicts are to accumulate personal wealth, foster and aid mercantile pursuits, welcome newcomers regardless of gender or ancestries. So they pull up to your cottage and on their bicycles with their short-sleeved white shirts and their little black ties and ask you if you've heard of their Lord and Savior Calistrad. And their follower alignment are lawful good, lawful neutral, and lawful evil. So you can run the gamut as long as it's lawful. The green faith is all neutral alignments, chaotic neutral, lawful neutral, and so forth. The Whispering Way, they believe that undeath is the truest form of existence, and life is meant to be spent in preparation for transition to the more glorious unlife after death. So their edicts are to seek methods to become undead, a lich if possible. Oppose those who seek to destroy undead, protect necromancer secrets, and serve the Whispering Tyrant. There you go. So you can guess what their alignments are, although it doesn't say. So these faiths and philosophies don't worship, they don't follow a particular god. They could, follow any god if it suited them, or no god at all. That neither picks my pocket nor breaks my arm. Who said that? And in domains, it talks about, briefly, it talks about the domains, ambition, the domain of ambition, air, cities, confidence, creation, darkness, death, destruction, dreams, earth, family, fate, and it goes all the way down to zeal, which is a wonderful thing. Nat. Travel, trickery, truth, tyranny, so forth. So, with the book of in the Age of Lost Omens, we have a wide variety of things that all make up this this age on this world, on the world of Golarion. So while being fairly deep, and I think it's adequately deep. It doesn't go too far, doesn't get too wordy, doesn't get preachy at all. It very much caters to the everybody thing, which, other versions of other games have been. I think the worst thing that I've seen is the utter humanocentric nature of old school D&D. They never gave other races a chance to excel because of their, they favored humans over everything else. Don't know why. Like in the first edition, when elves could only become like 12th level wizards, magic users. Are you kidding me? Even with countless centuries of study, that they couldn't go beyond 12th level. I never agreed with that, and I never enforced that rule. Just like half orcs only being able to go up to 10th level, 9th level in fighter. Like, are you kidding me? They're born like 5th level. So anyway, the one thing that I highly commend, though I myself am not a social justice warrior by any stretch of the imagination, and I'm not politically correct by anyone's terms. I never went out of my way to be a dick, and I certainly don't. I don't step on other people's toes for their preferences. I don't judge, and I don't preach that I know of. I might sometimes by accident, but I don't try to. Just because of my single most important philosophy of either you're a jerk or you're not. You can come from any background and believe in any god and anything, and be an absolute dickhead, and you can also not. It's just as simple as that, really. So I give everybody a chance to be awesome, and most of the time I am not disappointed. Most of the time people are awesome. So this book as a whole has kind of encapsulated my own personal philosophies of giving everybody a chance. Now, they may have gone a little bit overboard on the political correctness, a little bit, but not so much that it makes me ill, or because over it. Anyway, it can be annoying. It can really be annoying, but they have yet to annoy me. Their choices that they have made. The choices that they have made with the terminology and stuff. I had a discussion with one of my viewers, one of my subscribers, about races and the term race, and he or she, I can't remember which, or if it was even specified, told me, informed me that the word race wasn't a scientific term and all that stuff, and I looked into it after that, because it was one of those things that you never really think to look into until you do, and I did, and I found out that the word race was an old French term for family line or something like that, and it was invented in France. So with that being said, that's not saying that the French are all jerks, but they are what they are. The term, was excluded from this book and replaced with ancestry and heritage. and it's more descriptive, and yeah, it's more politically correct, I believe, but insofar as it's more accurate, because accuracy to me trumps political correctness. So that you might disagree with me or whatever. That's fine, but that's just how I am, and I like accuracy. And even though I am sometimes wrong and inaccurate myself, I always strive to be not, because I feel that that's important. And so what they've done is they have tried to capture the feeling of the book, while not, I mean, if something gets too preachy for me, it just starts to tick me off, and they have yet to tick me off. So it's not preachy. I've seen some comments online about being carefully chosen terms, and it's like, well, yeah, they are. It is carefully, their terminology is very carefully chosen, and I think that's a good thing, because there's too many times when people just spout out hurtful things without even thinking about what they're saying, and it's not cool. That's what puts you into the a jerk category. So with that being said, thank you for visiting the Dwarven Tavern while I share this lore with you. A pitiful smoke ring. But this has been the Age of Lost Omens. Actually, the first time I've ever smoked this pipe. So, Chapter 8 of the Pathfinder core rule book, I'm giving it 5 stars. This book has gotten very reliable 5 stars throughout, which is very cool. It goes for $59.99 retail, suggested retail price. The next one after the Age of Lost Omens is playing the game and game mastering. So I'm really interested in that, because so far I missed, like in the last video, I missed the whole thing about saving throws, which was that was my bad. But whatever. I'll get it eventually. And thanks to all my wonderful viewers. All you guys out there are so awesome. You keep me in line. You keep me in check. You let me know where I screwed up, and I really appreciate that. It's awesome. And I guess that goes back to my years of being a college professor, where if my students would correct me and they were right to do so, I would give them extra credit, because that's freaking cool. It means that they're trying to learn some stuff, right? So, and it shows they're paying attention, which you guys very obviously are. And I commend you. So next time we'll get into playing the game and game mastering, and then crafting and treasure. Those are the last 3, besides the appendix, which will be promptly removed. So there you have it. So on behalf of the entire cast and crew of the Dwarven Tavern, I am Dr. Jeff Goins. We here at the Dwarven Tavern wish for you to want for nothing but adventure. And at first I feared it, then I charged. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.